What is going on? Welcome to a very special episode of the Nintendo Powercast. This is not a numbered episode. We are just going to do kind of like it's not even really a bonus show. I already had a bonus show out on the channel this week, but we're just going to talk about our year, the year that Nintendo had. It's just going to be a conversation show. We're not going over news. We're not going anything like that, but we are going to start the show with a terrible, terrible dad joke that my wife told me yesterday that was tied to, it's Nintendo related, and she asked me, as we're going through Vudu, trying to pick a movie to watch last night, she asked me, what's Mario's favorite movie? And I already knew what was coming. I said, please stop. Don't do this. Don't do this. And she goes, Venom, Venom, Venom. And I was like, oh no, get out. get out of here. So it's a play on another joke, right? With what's his favorite, what are his overalls made out of or whatever? Denim, right? So, man, oh man. Anyway,
wow.
I just wanted to bless
so
you
glad
guys.
you shared
Grumpy
that
Doge
with
has a
us.
better
Yes.
answer. It's Die Hard. That's actually the right answer.
Yeah. So anyway, the wife's bringing the dad jokes. Like, yeah. So, but hey, we got the whole crew here. Destinaut, what's up, buddy?
Oh, nothing much. Just yeah, waking up, getting ready for the festivities that are to come.
Hate, what's going on?
What's going on? And Merry Christmas, NPC fam. It is your boy, Hate Zero, your hero.
And Mel, hello.
Hello. Happy holidays to everyone.
Ooh, that's the longest intro she's had on this show.
Have I?
It's a special one-off episode. You know, you got to do something big.
Yes. Well, I want to start this show off by just saying thank you to everybody that has listened. This year has been crazy for this show. Less than 2 years, we've hit over 250,000 downloads. That number blows my mind, right? Like, and just the community that has been built around this thing. We just want to say thanks. Like, it truly is amazing. So, chat is saying you're welcome. So we are doing this live on twitch.tv. So what's up, Crimdoodle, Lee Henson, Scrumpy Dog, Nightcrawler, Shell Shock, Pudding, Crosif, anybody else that's just lurking. Guys, thank you for being here. We do appreciate it. So, but yeah, I just want to say thanks because it's been an amazing year. It's been an amazing ride so far, and so that's where we're gonna start. But jumping right into this thing, Destin, I'm gonna let you lead us off here. How would you rate Nintendo's 2018?
Are we doing like a 5-star scale? Is this 1 to 10?
Just have whatever
percentage.
whatever you want, whatever you like. You don't have to like
Blue
grade
shells,
it.
red shells. What are we doing?
Yeah, you don't have to give it a specific grade. Just your overall opinions on the year.
Well, just as far as overall, like as I guess you could say, like as a console goes, I think they did extremely well. They've kind of followed up their year one. Year one was like, here's our biggest titles. Here's, it's like, here's Zelda right out of the gate. And I think throughout the year, we were kind of like, wait a minute, if they don't slow down, what are they going to have to come out next year? And what about the year after that? Because everyone was worried because of what happened with, maybe not so much the Wii, but the Wii U. The Wii U kind of was like, here's the big titles. What's in between? It was literally a game coming out every 3 months. And I think going into the Switch, everyone was still kind of worried about that. But we haven't had to because we've gotten not insane third-party support, but it is there, which wasn't before. So we got that, and then the small indie titles. I don't know. I would call the Switch like Steam Lite because it's just been bombarded with very small titles ranging from like not even $1 to like 15, 20, 30. So overall, I give it I just give it like a thumbs up score because I think they're going in the right direction and look forward to them doing the same next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric, where are you at?
Well, my answer is probably going to surprise people. I think Nintendo did everything they needed to this year, and by that I mean they didn't bombard us with Nintendo games. We know Nintendo can make Zeldas, Marios, Mario Karts, right? We know they're going to be able to do that. They could do it every year and have a successful console. I think this was the most important year for the Switch, not by any Nintendo game they made, but by the third-party support they've shown. You know, we've got some unique games that I'd never thought we were going to get on the Switch. We got games that I never knew I wanted to enjoy, but I did. I think this sets up the Switch for a very bright future, because next year we can get some of those first-party titles, and we can get these third parties. Everyone sees the Switch is actually built for this space. It's not a one-off gimmick. You know, it's actually here to stay. So I think this year, maybe not as good for a Zelda fan, but I think this year was the most important year in the Switch's life cycle, and they did what they needed to do.
Mel, how about you?
Okay, so if you actually had a Wii U, this year probably wasn't as exciting for you. But if you didn't, you had stuff like Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze, you had the Bayonettas, you had Hyrule Warriors. That really helped out, filled up, you know, some of the spots they were missing. Because if you really look at the other titles that came out this year, minus like Pokemon and Smash, they're kind of like B to C tier, which isn't bad because those are some of my favorite games. But I understand the complaints from some of the more hardcore people who want this big adventures types of stuff. But coming off of last year, I don't see how anyone can keep up that same momentum in that standard. They really needed like a little off the pedal kind of thing. So I get the complaints of that. But even with this off year for me, like I still had a lot of stuff. Like I was always playing something. I still have things I didn't buy. And I really hate next year because I took a little peek at it, and right now I have at least 37 titles that I want. This is just from stuff we know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I hate next year. And I don't want anything announced next year at all, but that I want. They can have a whole bunch of announcements of different games I hate. Fine, do it next year. Come out next year. Because, yeah, next year's going to suck for me because it's going to be too awesome.
That's a good problem. It's a good problem.
Yeah.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, it's so good.
That stuff's too awesome. Animal Crossing and Pokemon next year, right? I mean,
my God.
yeah, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. On top of everything else that's on its way. So for me, I feel like this year has been kind of a almost like a building year for Nintendo, like building on the foundation that year one had laid, right? So Nintendo was coming from a very bad place with the Wii U. As far as the Wii U goes, DS has never really been in a bad place. Or 3DS, like 3DS has dominated, and now 2DS is still going strong. I mean, 8 years on that console, it's crazy. They had to build that install base of Switches. So when they come out in year one with Zelda, Mario Kart, Splatoon, that right there is going to be like, they're like, look, you guys want software? We're going to give you software. And that's what happened. Year two, now you've got, it's almost like, I feel like year two is kind of like the year of the indies, right? And I think year three is going to be the year of the third parties. And then come year four, I think it's going to be an all-out barrage on our wallets, and we are going to see things like possibly another Zelda, possibly another Mario, maybe not in the same year, possibly Mario Kart, right? Like, because those all came out year one. I can't imagine Nintendo not bringing those titles later. So overall, for this year, I can see where some people would be like, yeah, this was not as good as the first year. How could the shadow that was cast by year one, there's no way. But I think it was brilliant in the fact that they said, hey, we're going to get an install base that's going to lure in third parties and get them to get on board with this system. Now, we didn't really see brand new titles from third parties. Nothing major comes to mind. I mean, we saw FIFA 19. A lot of it was ports, but some pretty impressive ports. Plus things like, the name just Warframe, right? That game, like the way it looks and runs on the Switch, like that was crazy. That was crazy. So, not as good a year as the as year one, but I don't think anybody could expect it to be. And Pokemon and Smash still sold really, really well. Smash is going crazy still. So overall, I think it was a good year, but I think it was I feel like Nintendo somewhat pumped the brakes on purpose to allow the indie support to really come through. Because Nintendo knows their fan base, right? What happened with the Wii and the Wii U? Nobody bought anything third party. And then nobody bought the system, so it was like, we're not. Because when the Wii U came out, Mass Effect's on it, Ninja Gaiden's on it, Call of Duty's on it, right? They all had one installment, and then that was it. They stopped. And so there's the potential for years to come to have a vast library of indies, third parties, and first parties, and it gets me excited. So, what do you guys think, Destin? We'll start with you. Like, what do you think were some of the greatest strengths and then weaknesses this year?
Well, the strengths, you kind of just mentioned it right now, which were kind of its strengths last year, and they've kind of just doubled down on it, were the fact that they let non-first party shine, with not only with directs, mentioning these other games, these other companies, because that's in my opinion, that's what killed the Wii U, was no third party support, and then they just put their first parties out there, and I felt like we were literally getting 4 games a year.
Yeah.
And like 4 games a year on a system that isn't an Ouya, like that's like that's not good. That you can't. Yeah, you could have these epic games, and Nintendo was known for those epic games, but you just can't. You can't have 4 games a year.
No, Sony can right now because they have the install base and they have third party support.
They have third party support. They've got other people, weathering the storm, I guess, in between releases. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you just can't do that. And the only thing that I think kept Nintendo afloat during that time was probably their handhelds and Amiibo and these other things, which as for a business is great if you're, someone like Josh who's like all in on Nintendo. I don't own a 3DS. I don't collect Amiibo, so where does that put me with 4 games a year? It doesn't.
Right.
So
it puts you on PC.
The fact that they have all these other games, the fact that like Mel's like, I have a problem next year because I've got too much stuff coming out. Like, okay, that's a terrible problem to have. So I think the fact that they are showcasing this other stuff is great, and they are trying to get everything. It doesn't matter if it's rated M, rated teen. The Nintendo, they've changed somewhat from the past, and that's good. They've adapted. So, I think they need to keep that up and just kind of be another system again versus just being, this is a Nintendo system. This only has E for everyone games. This only has really awesome first party titles, and everything else is either a terrible port or wasn't ported at all. So I think they need to keep going in that direction.
Eric, what about you? What do you think their strengths and weaknesses were?
Man, it's tough. So I think, when we were talking about third parties, we didn't mention Octopath, which was phenomenal. Wolfenstein 2 came out this year, right? We got Diablo 3. Mm-hmm. Now, those are ports, right? The last 2 at least.
Right.
But if you look back at every console release, it's usually a lot of ports for the first couple of years, or in the case of the PS4 and Xbox One, games that were made for the PS3 were also made kind of for the PS4. So the first 2 years of games on the PS4 and Xbox One were mostly not great games, didn't show off the potential. If you look at the dev cycle for a game, it's about 4 years typically. Well, the Switch didn't exist. People didn't know what it was. So if you're a developer making a game 4 years ago, you weren't making it with the Switch in mind. So I think the next year, the year after, is when we're going to really start to see more games like an Octopath and more of the games.
I want to remember Starlink also. That was one,
Yes.
and then Mega Man 11, which I mean that's not a really graphically intensive game, but I mean still like
I mean,
day and day release with the other consoles, which is a good thing.
right.
Oh.
And we got NBA 2K as well. Came out same day as the rest. Obviously, it's built on a little bit different engine, but you know what? That it still plays very well. Still a decent looking port, or not port, but version of the game. So I think I was impressed with some of the games we did get. Like, I didn't pick up Wolfenstein 2, but I've watched a lot of it because I already had it on the Xbox One and I didn't love the game enough to own twice. But from watching the streams of it, like, that's an impressive game on the Switch. That kind of shows off the Switch could get some of these first-person shooters just downscale a little bit, and I think we will start to see simultaneous releases going forward now that the Switch has been out a while. Developers have had the dev consoles, and so I'm very hopeful for the future of the Switch.
Mel, how about you? What were some strengths and weaknesses?
So this year we had some news of like like the next Doom game that's also with the Switch in mind. A year or two ago we wouldn't even have like that talk. That would just been an interview with some random website, and the devs would have been laughing pretty much. So just moving even from that is a huge step, because it's not going to be just them. It's going to be Blizzard, because Diablo, when that came out, Diablo 3, that was pretty much on the eShop like top 4. It was always in that, and it's going back in there constantly each time it goes on sale. I think it's like number 3 right now since I last checked. And I really liked how they are doing these little indie directs where there's like these little small little bite-sized directs in between the big ones, to which, like, hey, this game's coming out too. And by showing these certain games, it kind of gives like a Nintendo seal of approval to some people. So it gives them a better shine, a better spotlight. Because like for like Celeste, for instance, they showed that off in the January Direct, and I had to tell constantly people, like, hey, no, that's not an only Nintendo game, that's for everything. But they capitalized that moment so much to where they made people thought, hey, that's an exclusive to Nintendo. Like, they cared that much about it. So going forward, I think doing stuff like that, even if it's slightly tricking people, which it's not really tricking people, but even just having spotlight moments on smaller titles, or even other third-party games that wouldn't get as much press from other companies. So I really like how they're doing that.
Uh-oh, did we lose her? Nope. I think I hear her.
All right.
There she is.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
It just kind of cut out for me a little bit. But yeah, I really like how they did those moments. Because it wasn't just like at those little indie directs. They also showed it in their E3 presentations, their major ones too. Because the other companies used to do that too, but they kind of dropped off from that. But now Nintendo's taken that extra step from which they're not doing anymore. The other companies are not doing anymore. And if you look at the eShop, you're pretty much going to see a very healthy shop rating for the most part. It's going to be a mixture of these smaller titles, the Nintendo games, and some of these bigger third-party games, which is exactly what you want. Because beforehand, it was just all Nintendo games. It didn't matter how old they were. It could have been like a VC game, a virtual console game that's like 30 years old. It would have been on the shop like number 5.
Right.
See, that's great for Nintendo in the short term, but in the long term, other devs and publishers are going to look at that and like, oh, they only buy Nintendo games. I just made this brand new awesome title, it's priced okay. You know, it came out during an awesome time for the Wii U because, you know, anytime you put a game out for that was an awesome time.
Right.
Because, like, that's not said. They had, like, 4 games a year. And if you didn't like all 4 of those games, you were screwed. Because I remember one year, like, when Xenoblade Chronicles, like, Xenoblade X came out, I was like, oh, this is a nice game. I have no interest in it. Thank you, Nintendo. This is my December game. I can't play it. So, so moving away from that, and I know it's going to improve because it's already snowballing. We're getting news announcements like every day from these smaller games, and it's going to snowball into bigger games and such. And we had studios like companies like Square. They're like, hey, we're opening up its own little like division for the Switch. Like, we're gonna make like an Octopath division kind of such, because that's not AAA, but that's like AA. But Octopath did great. People love that. It doesn't always need to be AAA. Now, of course, we want those. We're gonna slowly get those. But hey, if we can just get AA and up for right now, that's good too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of the strengths for this year were seeing the way they address things like Mario Tennis Aces and the way they're addressing Smash Bros. As far as like the way they are tackling the online component of those and like looking for fixes and getting patches out really, really quickly. Like, I don't feel like this was a thing they did in the past, and now they are on top of it. Just the amount of communication that Nintendo has versus what some of the other companies have is, you know, like the amount of the Nindies, the directs, that kind of stuff, where like we know, I mean, if you think about it, like in January, we had a massive list of games up until June. And then wasn't it Dark Souls got delayed, right? So then that pushed it all the way to October. But I mean, like they put out so much information that it's like, okay, this is going to be coming. Like it makes it crazy. I mean, looking at next year, right? Just off the top of my head, you know, we have the port of Super Mario U, which is an amazing title that I'm very, very excited for Switch owners to get to try, because if you missed it on the Wii U, you missed a gem of a game. So that's amazing. Yoshi's looking good. Fire Emblem, right? Luigi's Mansion, Animal Crossing, Pokemon. Right now, all of these titles look great, and the fact that we already have information about them is great. To kind of go back on what I was saying during the first little section there, like those are all big titles, but to me those are all kind of niche titles. They're not a Zelda and they're not a Mario, right? Other than Pokemon. I think Pokemon is going to be right up there in sales with Mario
Animal
Kart
Crossing too.
and I think Animal Crossing too. The thing with those, especially with Animal Crossing, and maybe it'll be different this time around, but I don't feel like it doesn't have the brand recognition that Mario does, right?
It's good Mario though.
Nothing does.
Exactly, right? It's like he's like the Mickey Mouse of basically what I'm saying is like brand new Switch owners are probably going to look at Animal Crossing and be like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? Versus like, oh, there's Mario, right? So, but that's, I mean, you know, I remember when I first saw Animal Crossing, like on the GameCube, like in the magazines, I was like, I have no idea what this is, but it's Nintendo. It's made by Nintendo. I'm on board. Let's try it. You know. So hopefully it gets that same kind of reception. I think this will probably be the biggest Animal Crossing game that we've seen. Yet.
Yeah.
So
Don't build this thing up, because then it's gonna come in under that.
No, it's
And
not.
yeah.
The momentum it has right now.
What do
is
you
too
mean?
strong.
No, it won't. What
It's
what was
not.
Happy Home Hunter, or whatever that was.
That's not a full title. That's a spin-off.
Ah man, the phone
That's
game.
like Go Pikmin, or what's the
Hey, Pikmin. Hey,
Hey,
Pikmin.
Go in the front of it,
That's
behind anything.
that's
I'm not
they
playing
made
it.
that slowly to fill a little void, because it's like, hey, they were messing around with how to move things around for the next install title, the next big game, because that's like a tech demo basically, pretty much. And like,
Yeah.
hey, people really like these characters. We can make the stupid cards. They're
When
gonna
they
buy
do
'em.
stuff like that, it just angers me. It's like you wasted maybe 2 weeks of developing the real game for this. Like, knock it off. Like, don't do this. Don't do this to me.
They probably just had a
Pikmin
couple
4.
people.
They could have spent those couple people making a Pikmin 4 announcement I'm still waiting on. Like, I know it's coming. Just spend 2 weeks making the dang announcement and I'll be happy.
So
And maybe that's what they are. Maybe they are tech demos though, and they're just like, hey, okay, we spent some time on this versus it just going in the trash. Let's just throw it out there. And then what if people would have gone nuts over Pokemon Quest? Like they would have been like, oh, this is what people want. People want Pokemon in Minecraft. Okay, like
Yeah.
that. But they wouldn't have known that. Instead of just testing it among 16 people and being like, it's okay. All right, throw it in the trash. They were just like,
I'm good with
release it.
them.
It's free, whatever.
I'm good with them doing tech demos if they're going to give us the Zelda tech demo that was the inspiration behind
You're still holding on to this from the GameCube?
Oh
Is
my
this what you're about to
God.
say?
No.
Okay, I thought maybe this was like
the 2D one that they made to show off like some of the potential for Breath of the Wild. The one that they showed
Oh,
their
yeah,
tech demo for.
Oh, yeah.
If they release
Oh,
that, I'm way on board with them releasing all their tech demos.
right.
Well, it was called The Legend of Zelda. It was out on the NES. That was
Yeah,
the
but
tech
you can
demo
do
for Breath of
stuff
the Wild.
Yeah, except you can't like. I think at one point like he launched fire down a stream on like a log or something, and it lit something. Like you couldn't do any of that stuff. So just give me an updated Legend of Zelda 2D. That'd be amazing.
You want Legend of Zelda Deluxe?
Yeah, exactly.
Why not?
Director's cut?
Why not?
Yeah, that's exactly what I want.
So one of the things that I would assume a lot of people think is a weakness is Nintendo Switch Online. Now, we know that like not having voice chat built right into the system has been a major complaint, especially for some people on this show. And I get it. I feel like what they have done with the phone and everything, I feel like they've done a decent job, but it is a lot of wires and everything to, as far as just jumping into voice, it's simple. Like you can play with randoms. Super Nintendo jumps into random chats while he's playing Mario Kart, and he's like, "Hey, you should go watch Josh stream."
I'm shocked he hasn't gotten flagged. Hey, you
I don't know who
kids!
that is. Who's N64 Josh?
Hey kids, it sounds like the clown from Garfield. But I feel like sure, some people are still upset that they're paying $20. I get it, right? Like I understand the other side of the argument. But the way I see it is that like they listened to the audience initially and like said, no, we're gonna wait a year on that, right? And then added free games. They keep adding games, right? Now I just heard Mel sigh because apparently she doesn't want any of these
No.
games. She has no
They're
nostalgia
not
in her.
free. I hate when people say they're free. You're paying for it.
Well, I'm paying for the service, so the games are free.
They're a part
Or
of
you're
the
paying
service.
for the games and the services.
That's
free.
like saying, oh, I get free Netflix every month. No, you're paying for Netflix. That's part of the thing. Kills it.
Well,
I guess included is the
tomato,
proper term,
I
Josh.
guess. Yeah, I guess. Like,
Included.
regardless, it's still only $20. The one gripe that I do see people talk about with the games is the fact that you don't get to keep them if you stop the service, right? And so that I can see, but you're not like I can see the complaint. Whereas like if you look at Xbox, they say here's 3 games a month that are yours, whether you keep Xbox Live or not. Then you have PlayStation that says here's games, but if you stop the service, you lose them, right? And then Nintendo's doing something similar, but we're getting games that are much older,
40 years old.
right? That have a little less appeal to some people, right? So I get that, right? I mean, look, Celeste is coming to the Xbox in January for games with gold, that would be a much better game. Right? That would make the service more appealing, but then they would probably have to charge more for it too. Because you know that Xbox is fronting the bill for that deal. It's not just like, "Oh, hey guys, you're going to give us this game for free." No. And it works especially well like for games that have DLC tied to them, you know? So if like let's say Mario plus Rabbids came out as a free game for the month, but then they can sell the DLC after the fact. If people really like it, they're still able to make a little money on top of the things. So
side note, because I've been thinking this for a while, but I haven't said anything. So why not say it live on air for the first time?
Ooh.
Does them putting games with gold Celeste mean that Celeste DLC is going to be paid and come out very soon? Because I feel like that's a bait that they're pulling people in, and Matt Makes Games is going to make their money back. Like, obviously they got a deal, but it was probably on a discount. They're going to get people hooked, and then, hey, here's $10 DLC for this game. That's what I think is going to happen, personally. But
it could be that. It could be, you know, it gets people looking at what else he's done, and Tower Fall's in the marketplace, things like that. Madeline's in the game, right? So
well, we do know DLC's coming. They announced that. We just don't know if it was paid or free or what.
I see. So, I mean, overall, it's one of those things that, like, just as business in general, especially in today's world, sometimes exposure is as profitable as especially like a game like Celeste has been out for a year now. At this point, for more people to be playing that game and get on board with it, now if there's a sequel, now if there's a DLC, they just have that exposure that's going to grow. I mean, how many more people are going to find that Instagram account now, right? And then the next time the next game's coming out, and all of a sudden there's a random picture from inside the game. That's huge marketing. Right. So it's really I mean, ultimately, if Celeste was coming out on PS4, it would be much better because there's just there's a much larger install base for people to get that game. But hey, it's going to be one of the best free games that has ever shown up on that Games with Gold. There's no doubt about that. So, you know, overall it'll be a good thing. But I think that is one of the weaknesses with Nintendo Switch Online is that the NES games are great, and I love the little controllers I got. Like, I think that whole thing is cool. Like, it's all about that nostalgia. But at the same time, I think there could be more to it. But at what cost? How much more are they going to charge to be able to get, you know, free indie titles on there and stuff like that? You know, that's kind of where I'm at. Destinat, what has been your biggest surprise for 2018?
Biggest surprise. Well, mainly it's kind of been to go back to more of what I said earlier, like their strength is just the amount of support we've gotten from third party. Like, never in a million years would I ever have expected to see the Wolfenstein games on Nintendo. Not just because of their content, which it's an M-rated game. We knew that going a long time ago that there would be M-rated games on this system. I can't remember the first M-rated game, but you know, it's like they were like, okay, this is maybe a new Nintendo. We're seeing some M-rated games. But just the visual quality of that game, I mean, I would rank that up there with the new, what was it, the Resident Evil? And that, you know, in Japan they were streaming that game to the console. You know, it's almost like, oh, the stream can't, you know, the system can't run this, we're gonna have to stream it to the console. But I think they got totally disproven with games like Wolfenstein. You know, like, that's a huge AAA game with massive, you know, you could run it on PC and I'm sure it looks gorgeous and it's not going to look the same. However, the fact that it was on there at all, I think that's amazing. Starlink was another one where I've heard it looks amazing on PS4 Pro. I have it for the Switch. Yes, I can tell the difference between that game and something I'm running on my PC. It's just, it doesn't have that clarity. But everything is there, right? It still had particle effects, and there's tons of foliage, and the ships still look amazing. So I'm glad to see these games that are up there, that are like super high quality titles coming out, like we mentioned earlier, like the same day. I think that really helps because let's face it, a lot of times in gaming, when something comes out, you want it on release day or close to it. You know, your friends are talking about it, or there's reviews online that are talking about it, or people are streaming it, you know, and it's like you want to be part of that conversation. Well, it's kind of hard to be part of that conversation when it's like coming to Switch next year. You're like, well, I've already moved on to something else by then. So the fact that we are getting these same day games and they are the third party games, and not just third parties going into their back catalog and saying like, well, we're going to give you a game from 5 years ago that came out on the Xbox 360. You know, again, that game has already had a conversation last generation. So I'm just glad to see okay, it's not 100%, but they're still keeping their foot in that door of current games, third-party releases, and not. Well, I shouldn't say I give it credit to Nintendo. I give this more credit to the third parties, but I'm glad we're seeing it though. So yeah, that was the biggest shock. Is like, oh, this is coming to Switch. Oh, okay, cool.
I think for me was one of the things was just watching how many Switch games you were playing and you were like really stoked for, you know, because like I didn't expect to see you like go all in on Starlink at all, right? Like I didn't even think that game would like pique your interest, and then all of a sudden you're like, I got everything.
It's the best Mass Effect planet sim game out there.
Yeah, it totally surprised me though. It totally surprised me. So that, and then how much time we spent in just grinding
talking about
Diablo and stuff, and then talking about it, right? Yeah, like multiple shows for Starlink. Chat saying Starlink sold best on the Switch, and Carpet sent me a link. I think 84% of Starlink sales were on the Switch.
Shocking.
So I mean, Star Fox had some pull, right?
A little pull. Yeah.
Eric, how about you? What was your biggest surprise?
My biggest surprise of 2018 was Destinauts' return to the Switch and return to the show. Those are both glorious things for me. No, so the biggest surprise was Celeste and the indies for me. I've never been a huge indie fan, but the Switch has changed that for me. So, you know, Xbox has a lot of these same indies. I never played them over there. Never really had the desire to. Something about the delivery on the Switch, it makes me want to play indies, and I think it's because a lot of these indies are really bite-sized. You know, they're super built for portable, and you pick it up for 15 minutes. You quickly pause the system, because the suspend feature is the greatest thing to happen to gaming since ever. And I can, you know, if I've got another 15 minutes, I spend 20 seconds or less booting up the system and playing the game. That's awesome to me. The other big, not surprise, but I want to give a shout out. Nintendo has the biggest game in the world right now, and it came in 2018 and we skipped over it. It has Fortnite, which is what the plants crave. So it's the biggest game in the world right now, and we've got it on the Switch. I don't personally like it. You can at me if you want. I don't like Fortnite. Bring it on. But I'm happy for these 12 to 13-year-olds who do like it. And I'm just kidding. If you like Fortnite and you're a full-grown adult, I'm kidding. It's a fine game. The shooting mechanics leave something to be desired for me. That's all. But it's on the Switch. Like, how awesome. Would we have ever thought coming into 2018 we were going to get Fortnite? I don't think we even thought that was a possibility at that point. So, yeah.
Mel, how about you? Biggest surprise?
Oh, this is easy. Labo. Because, like, anyone who would, like, leaked back to me, like, earlier, it's like, oh, hey, here's a bunch of cards. They're gonna make a game out of it. I would have been like, you're the stupidest person I've heard in my life. But they actually did. And it's really creative. It's just, it's a lot to take in. You know, it's a certain target audience. But just the fact that it exists at all and it did okay, that's a miracle in itself. And I kind of wish Nintendo would have did some of the moves they did with Labo from the get-go instead of later on. Like, I know they've been pushing it in certain, like, as, you know, programs and stuff. Like, that should have been, like, day one. I don't know why was that not day one instead of, like, day 200 and something. That just seemed really silly to me. Like, why would you not want to push this creative thing to more people at a more, you know, at a better pace kind of thing?
I think part of it, because they knew it probably wouldn't move any consoles.
It's not always about moving consoles, though. It's just having different options. Because they have
But I
certain
think
games
year
like,
one was all about moving consoles because they had to get third parties on.
Yeah. And we still have some consoles this year, you know, such as Pokemon and Splatoon.
Right.
But, like, even getting some of these
Or
weird,
Smash.
wacky... I mean, that's what I meant, Smash. You got me. You got me. I mean, Splatoon is still moving in Japan, though. That's still
true.
system moving.
That's true.
Like, it comes back on the chart, like, out of nowhere. I'm like, how do they not have it by now? Like, everyone over there. Like, I don't understand.
They love it. They love it.
They love it. But, yeah, like, even having these weird, insane, maybe even stupid, from just looking at it first glance kind of things, like, I think that's important to have. And I think pushing creativity is a great thing. Because a lot of the games we have now, they, you know, promote, you know, violence. You know, that's fun. You know, I still love my violence. I will always love them. But I want other things too. And I think having creative stuff, pushing the spotlight, is a great move. I just wish they would have just took a better couple of steps with this. But I still hope in the future we get stuff like this, even if I'm not going to be the one to buy it. Because it doesn't have to be for me. But just the fact that it exists, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, my kids, the first set anyway, we sat and built it together. It was a lot of fun. My I think he was 15 at the time it came out. He built the piano by himself, right? And he liked it. He but now that thing sits in my closet, right? Like, that's the other thing with the Labo is like, oh, where do I, like, I like the ones I haven't opened yet because they store so much better. So, but I do, and then to see other people kind of get on board with the Labo, to see them updating Mario Kart with it, you know, that kind of stuff, like integrating it into other games. I'm curious, like, what's the Animal Crossing Labo crossover gonna be like? I mean, there's potential.
Nothing.
You think zero? That's
Nothing.
They should just take the cardboard from the amiibo boxes from the Animal Crossing series and just make something bad. I'm sure there's tons of those still left over.
Oh man.
You say you got Labo in your closet? Imagine how many Labos are in Nintendo's closets. They probably have a warehouse full of cardboard.
No, it's just the Labo warehouse. Like, it's actually made out of Labo.
Oh, like
and
it's Labo itself?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I think for me the biggest surprises for the year were some of the third parties that got announced. Especially like Diablo, you know, seeing Blizzard get on board with the Switch. Games like Fortnite, Paladins, we got that MOBA, Arena of Valor, is that what it's called, I believe? Something like that.
Sure.
You know, Warframe, like
SNK Heroines.
But
I mean, it was a game.
My bad. SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy.
yeah,
There you go.
Oh,
That's
there
why
you
we were laughing. Because
My bad.
You
Like, this guy doesn't even know the
name.
name of the game. Idiot.
So those, I mean, and then just how much fun I had with a game like Diablo. I had never played it. That was a game that was completely brand new to me. I've never played any of the games in the series, and you know, like coming from games like in my past, like being a huge fan of like Destiny and like the looter shooter kind of stuff, I was like, oh wow, this is like nothing I'd ever experienced before. So I was into it. But so we got 15 minutes left to wrap this thing up. Let's talk about 2019. Destina, what are your predictions for 2019?
My predictions for 2019. Well, I've really gotten into the original Animal Crossing, so I am looking forward to that. Looking to see what they do with it. I've never played any of the other Animal Crossing games. I played the phone game for about 2 seconds.
That long?
Yeah, I know. I wanted to give it a chance. So,
Attaboy.
I'm looking forward to that though. Nothing else is really on my radar. I know they have other stuff coming and they've kind of already announced it, but I mean, not that they've given us much with Animal Crossing, but it's like they've kind of just been like, hey, this is coming out. Okay. When? What? So, no, I'm looking forward to that. I don't know. I know a lot of people they're on this bus about updated hardware. I don't think we need it. The Nintendo Switch isn't like an Xbox 360 that has a 50% failure rate. So it's not like they have to be updating hardware. Yeah, so I don't know.
Well, the longer the hardware is on the market, the more profitable it becomes because the parts get cheaper. Right.
Well, yes and no. Yeah, well, I don't want to get super technical, but yes. But also, a lot of times other parts become cheaper. And like, for example, while the PlayStation 4 has a Pro model and a Slim, there's still been like 7 hardware revisions of the PlayStation 4 because they go in and they change like a capacitor because it's 10 cents cheaper. And when you're making 1 million of them, that adds up. So anyways, but no, we've had like 0 hardware revisions on this thing. So, I mean, that's whatever.
Well, we've had a little, they did something with the chipset for security issues. There are a newer chipset, I believe, but it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's
So
not.
the original screen is more blue hued. They switched to LCD vendors.
So yeah, stuff like that happens. But I mean, no, the hardware's fine as it is. I mean, if these things were bricking nonstop, I'd get it. But no, what I don't know. I'm hoping we get more Joy-Con either colors or designs like we did with Smash. Well, let's make them more creative than the Smash. let's get newer ones. Yeah, and then I'm just looking forward to more, almost like, yeah, those are spectacular. How long did those take you to make in your garage?
Like
We're talking about the Smash ones. Josh is showing me his Smash Joy-Con, which look like day one Joy-Con that he put Scotch tape on.
They had extra gray Joy-Cons laying around.
Yeah,
He needed the grip.
yeah. And I'm just looking forward to more, basically, indie support, really. Third-party support, I could take it or leave it, honestly. If there was a third-party game that I really wanted, I'd probably have a 50-50 chance, if not greater, at coming to PC. I'll get it for that. But yeah, just more indie support. I'm looking forward to all those new indie games they've been showing us. Because yeah, I'm really liking those on the Switch because they're not really powerhouses, They can run fine. Like Grease ran perfectly fine on my Switch. I don't think I would get anything out of getting it for my PC.
I did see an article saying that game is already profitable for them, so that's good.
It's because it's awesome.
Yeah.
See, you make awesome games, they sell. It's very weird. I know it's a novel. It's kind of a new concept, and people are just dabbling in making good games.
There's the holiday salt I've been waiting for.
So but hey, let's try it. Let's make a good game and put it out there, and maybe put some effort into it and see what happens. You might be surprised. It's weird. Very weird. It's a weird time we live in.
Eric, what do you think's gonna happen 2019?
Can I touch on my disappointments? I'll be really brief. I forgot to earlier.
Oh, okay.
The
skipped it on
Nintendo Switch
purpose.
Online's not a huge disappointment to me because of the way it is. I think where they really missed the mark was they didn't announce what we were getting, so it was left to our imaginations to hope that we were going to get something greater than we got. They never lied. They gave us exactly what they initially told us we were going to get, and a little bit more, which was Nintendo Switch Online is going to be free at first, then it's going to transition to a paid service. Nowhere in there does it imply it's going to be improved. It's just, so we got more than they said we were ever going to get. I think the problem was the communication. And my other big disappointment was Mario Party. I really wanted more out of that game, you know, and online would have really helped that game for me. So 2019. Or go ahead if anyone has
Mario Party. I mean, it's amazing to play with people at your house. If you could have that experience online, that game would have, I mean, people would still be playing that game, I think. Like, it would be streamed and things like that. Like, but not having the ability to play online, people didn't even pick it up, right, Mel? See?
Still not good.
Yeah.
That just missed the mark. Like, I mean, it was still a good game, good Mario Party, and you know, the intended way to play it is in a party setting, obviously. But people don't do that as much in 2018 as they did in 1996. So, that's maybe a lesson learned for them. It's not a huge disappointment. It doesn't ruin my year. But that was just like, man, you guys were this close to really making a great Mario Party. 2019, my prediction is Metroid Prime is going to be our Halo. I think they're going to go guns blazing on Metroid Prime. I think this is make or break for Metroid. I think if this game fails, we don't see Metroid as anything more than a Smash character going forward. That's my, part of my prediction is that. So I think, geez, if I could predict anything, it would be that this game just is the killer first-person shooter with a killer online. That's my 2019.
I would love that, by the way. I would love it.
And I knew you would.
I still have I'm still holding on to my theory that Mario Party wasn't supposed to come out this year, but because Yoshi got pushed, they rushed it. That's just I mean, it's just a theory. I have nothing to back that up. It's just a theory. So
just a prediction.
It's just a, just a prediction. Mel, go. What are your 2019 predictions?
Okay, so I do think we're going to get a revision, but I don't think it's going to be anything from like hardware, like the graphics chip wise. I think it's just going to be like a slimmer kind of screen, a little bit, maybe a little better battery life, because they do these things for revisions for hard, like like the handhelds. Every 2 years or so, like after one comes out, there is a slight difference. It's nothing major,
Switch
but
XL.
It's kind of stuff like that. And I'm the kind of person who thinks this is a handheld first. They can lie to me, they can tell me it's a home, but try to put your games in the dock. You can't do it. You have to put the system in the dock. So yeah, I think we're gonna get one. I don't think it's gonna be anything fantastic. So hopefully I don't have to buy it because I got a lot to buy already, and I think I'm gonna have even more stuff to buy, especially with these little indie guys, because these guys pop out of nowhere. Like, hey, my game comes out today.
You're right.
I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, I was budgeting for that. It's cool.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I guess I won't eat today, so you can eat today. Thanks. And I think we're gonna see maybe one like old game from Nintendo that's brought to the modern age, like a Kid Icarus kind of thing.
Oh.
Like I think that's gonna happen. I think that's gonna be like one of the good things, because they've been teasing like, hey, we still have stuff we haven't announced yet. And I think the other stuff is gonna be like, like just like ports of like the Metroid Prime trilogy, maybe Skyward Sword, maybe even Galaxy. I know that crap, but not that Galaxy's crap. It's just saying like you love buying old stuff again and
both
again.
games in one.
Galaxy was one of the best Marios ever made. Like, there's no question that.
I didn't mean it was bad.
2018.
I was just saying, yeah, like to buy stuff you already bought like 10,000 times already.
If you love something, you buy it twice.
Yeah, I know. And sometimes y'all buy stuff y'all shouldn't buy.
You have to know how to love,
Sometimes.
Mel.
So I think
Loving is
we're
letting
gonna
go.
see stuff like that. And I think some of these quirky Japanese guys, you know, the third-party guys, I think we'll just finally start seeing some of their titles, or even like how it looks. Like Shin Megami Tensei 5, we haven't seen anything. They're like, hey guys, we're not ready to show anything, but it's there. So I'm thinking, hey, maybe 20 seconds of footage, not even gameplay footage, just like maybe a little cinematic. We might see that next year, because I don't think it's coming out next year. But stuff like that. And I think there's gonna be one crazy third-party game that we're not supposed to get that we're gonna get. I think that's gonna be the big bombshell, you know. So those are my guesses. I'm not saying it.
Your guesses. All right. Very good. Very good. So I'm thinking we're going to see some surprises in 2019, and I think those surprises are going to come in the form of third parties getting a hold of first party IP. I think we're going to see something else like Mario plus Rabbids. I don't know what that is, but I think we're going to see something along those lines. I think that is where Nintendo can really shine with third parties. You know, Fire Emblem Warriors, Hyrule Warriors, Mario plus Rabbids, that kind of stuff. Starlink. I mean, look at how well Starlink did. Like, that is evidence right there that the Nintendo IPs have a major pull. So let somebody else get creative with that series. Like, seriously, let somebody else make a full-on Star Fox game, you know?
Sparingly. Look what happened when George Lucas let other people play with his toys.
Ooh, I hope next year we get to see if that rumor is about the racing game for the Star Fox.
Oh,
I want that to be confirmed or deconfirmed next year.
Is Star Fox Grand Prix or whatever?
Yeah, because I have some ideas for that.
Then that would make sense. They're not going to do a Mario Kart, and I think we need a good racer, so that would completely potentially fill that void.
They're not going to give us F-Zero. I mean, they could give us Wave Race, but I really doubt that. But that would be kind of cool, though. Like the HG Rumble, the little Jet Sea. Oof, it'd be so nice.
Stop it, Mel. Now I want that.
Have you seen that product where it blows either hot or cold air on you depending on what's going on in the game? Only if they make that compatible with the Switch do I want Wave Race.
Ooh.
You're going to have like a squirt gun and then so
I'll spray it into the wind. I don't care.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But chat is saying things like F-Zero, 1080 snowboarding, Pilot Wings. Somebody wants to see
None
Mario
of
Kart
those
Maker.
ever.
Here's what I want for Mario Kart, right? Like, and I don't think it would be next year. I think next year we're still going to see, I don't think we're going to see a major title. But man, I was tweeting about this. I want Mario Kart Ultimate with every track ever made, all the racers, everything. And then they can do DLC packs of Kirby, Metroid, Zelda, Star Fox, F-Zero. Like, that's how I want to see things go with Mario Kart. But I don't think it's happening next year. I think that would be like 2020 or 2021. So
I hope it doesn't ever happen.
I really want a Super Mario Kart remake. You know, with the modern features, but the top-down, like, fun. Like, and I feel like that's one they could license to an indie dev and they could knock it out of the park, you know? Like, I would love something like that just because it wouldn't take a lot. It wouldn't take away from a new main Mario Kart. It would just be something fun to throw out there, maybe a $40 or $20 game. I don't know.
Yeah. No, and I mean, and we do have Mario Kart Tour on the way as well. That's another that should be before the fiscal year ends, I believe. So we should be hearing news about that pretty soon. So, but well, hey, that's gonna do it for our 2018 episode, guys. I do want to let everybody know that we do have a we're putting together like a poll that's going to be like everybody votes on what the best games for 2018. We're gonna do that in January, and so stay tuned. I'll have it up on n64josh.com, so we'll be able to all kind of be involved. It'll be like a big community-wide, like kind of like our awards stuff. So with that, Destinat, where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter at iDestinot. You can at me about all the Austin games you like, and I can tell you why you're wrong. I'm also in the chat. Yeah. Stream's still upcoming. Paid off my house in Animal Crossing. That was pretty sweet.
Ooh,
Love it.
Wow.
Love it.
Debt free.
Someday I'll do it in real life. Someday.
No, that's why they give you the option to do it in the game.
Yeah. It's fantasy, people. Come on now. That's why you can get your house off. But yeah. Greatest game of the year. I'm out.
There you go. Hey, love it. Love it. Hey, where can we find you, bud?
You can find me on the Discord, n64josh.com/discord. Come over, join the fun. There's over 700 people now. Is that correct?
Yeah. And growing quickly.
So you'll also find me at Twitter. You can go ahead and at me your predictions for the year. Yeah, I'd love to see what 2019 looks like for you guys. So at HateZero.
And Mel, where can we find you?
I'm gonna be in the Discord.
Guys, if you do want to join that Discord, it's n64josh.com/discord. You can follow me on Twitter at n64josh. My Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, everything. And I've been trying to really keep up with all social media, getting stuff out there. So wherever you like to be, I have content going out there. My favorite thing right now is the daily spike that I do on Instagram, where somebody from the stream will get clipped of me spiking them into oblivion, and I love it when people find it and they're like, no, that was me, I didn't want to I was hoping I wouldn't make it. So we're having some good times there on Instagram. So it's been a great year, guys. Again, can't thank you enough. Destinot, Eric, Mel, thank you guys for taking time out of your week each week and hanging out and doing this. It's been a lot of fun. So hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever it is you celebrate, and we will see you Thursday for the NPC mini. See you guys later. Bye now.
Predictions.
No talking when the music's up. No talking.
Jeez, lyrics. Predictions. Predictions.
Okay, now it's over.